We decided to study the dataset The State of the World's Children, which is a dataset published by the United Nations. We decided to study this dataset because it consisted of many interesting sub-datasets, such as information about maternal mortality rates, female versus male literacy rates, child labor percentages, and more. In this video, I will be showing you two of the most enticing questions that we asked and the analysis that we derived from it. So the first question we posed was, how do child labor rates affect a country's GDP per capita growth rate? So we initially hypothesized that the greater the child labor rate in the country is, the higher the GDP per capita growth rate would be, because there are more people contributing to the country's economy. However, on a second thought, we realized that the children that are working are not educated and they're not at school, so in the future they won't be able to contribute to the country's economy significantly. Turns out our second hypothesis was right. So if you can see here, there is a country in the middle of Africa with a higher GDP per capita growth rate and a very low child labor rate. So this indicates that the lower the child labor rate is, the higher the GDP per capita growth rate is, which implies that if children are in school and are educated, the GDP of the country will improve. Another question that we posed was, how do literacy rates between men and women compare in countries in which child marriage percentages are high? So up here, we created a graph of countries where greater than 40% of children are married under the age of 18. And this pertains to mostly females. And we can see that most of the countries are in Africa or Asia. We compared the literacy rates of females and males in these countries, and we saw that there's a stark difference. The females have a much lower literacy rate than the males do, probably because that they're taken out of school and are not given an education. We also saw, however, that the literacy rates in countries with high child marriage rates are much lower than the world literacy rate right here. This could be due to the practice of ancient customs of child marriage and the oblivion or the ignorance of modern day custom practices. So overall, we had a lot of fun conducting this data analysis, and we saw a lot of different questions being posed, and we saw a lot of different and surprising correlations. And overall, we looked at several data sets and graphed relationships between them, and we observed the conditions under which billions of people in first world and third world countries live in. We saw how important basic human needs such as sanitation and clean water played a role in the longevity of so many young children, and we saw how ancient practices are negatively affecting our female population today. We hope that after reviewing this Jupyter notebook, that these questions have intrigued you and have sparked explained thought, and have brought a reality check to the state of the world today, which is outside of our bubble.